think what's crazy to me about Before the Prime is it's basically where we wanted to go. You know, this is the turning point for this character who believed he was the Doctor, and now we're finding out the truth.
It was great because it put it all in context as to who the Doctor really was or wasn't.
For me.
And it set up the whole story of the Teenage Doctor, but it also went on to involve the future of the real Doctor Who as well. I enjoyed seeing the backstory and how it all came about, the bit with the alien beings, etc., or the futuristic people. It made it.
What? This was the day I found out my life was a lie.
What the short film did, Before the Prime, was to give everybody an idea where we hope to go eventually with the story, an insight to some of the stories that might happen, and some that we have in mind still to film, but whenever that might be, I don't know. It also was an interesting epilogue to find out what happens in the end.
Doctor Who Curse of the Teenage Doctor Before the Prime is a prequel to our sequel series to the Teenage Doctor, called Curse of the Teenage Doctor obviously, and it's supposed to be an epilogue to what would have been the original Series 1 of Doctor Who the Teenage Doctor had we finished it as originally intended.
The short film also gives you an insight into the episodes that were never filmed, and it fills that gap between the beginning and the end.
Doctor! Every time I ask you what happened to Clive's body, you refuse to answer.
Derek.
No, Doctor, I want an answer.
You want an answer, eh? The only reason I never told you was because you would have never wanted to know.
It also gives an insight into the gaps in the episodes that were either part recorded or not recorded at all, and to where we hope to go with it. And it fills that gap between the beginning and the end.
Obviously all those events have transpired for this Doctor that we see him Before the Prime, because, you know, he knows that he's not the Doctor. He's confused about who he is because he hasn't got his real memories back. All we know is his name is Shepherd, and that is one of the important things that I wanted to establish with this little short film prelude of The Curse of the Teenage Doctor.
And it was nice to make this short film as an epilogue to the Teenage Doctor, to see and say goodbye to these characters, just in case we never get any further with it.
Have you noticed a difference in the Doctor?
Yeah, I have.
He hasn't been the same since Derek and Clive left.
He hasn't been the same since he found out the truth.
About what?
This way.
And also, it lays down the groundwork for the future if we do decide or get round to carrying on.
What I find fascinating about him not really being the Doctor and it being another character is you can really start to experiment with a character like that, because when you're, say, playing the Doctor, you're pretty locked into a moral course. You have to, you know, there's no killing, there's no, you know, there's no moral ambiguity there with the Doctor. The Doctor is essentially good. But when you bring in someone that's been mentally brainwashed to think he's the Doctor, and then suddenly it's revealed he was another Time Lord the whole time, and his basically was a criminal on Gallifrey, and this was his punishment to get out of prison. Essentially, he was, you know, that was the way he got out. Unfortunately, he wasn't activated until after, just at the literally precipice of the end of the Time War, so he had no effect, because it's explained in a conversation that you see in Before the Prime, as well as Curse of the Teenage Doctor, when the Guardian of Time, the guy that made the Shepherd the Doctor, he explains that they wanted another warrior, because obviously at this time of frame, the Doctor is not really the Doctor himself as well. He's the War Doctor, so they wanted another version of that, flying about, fighting the Daleks and all that. So that was the idea there. You're the man from my dreams.
So you're starting to remember?
Remember what?
Your past. You were a reckless Time Lord, Exile. The Council wanted to do something about it, so we made a deal. We would clear your previous crimes as long as you got involved with a little experiment.
What experiment? What are you talking about? Another thing that was important to me was, with this short film, was really a window. I wanted this to be an epilogue to the Teenage Doctor, in case nothing else continued, in case the Curse of the Teenage Doctor never got finished. I wanted to show where we were going, what the plan was, and, you know, not wrap a bow on it, but just kind of answer the big question that needed answering. Why in the first 5 episodes of the Teenage Doctor is there memories of Derek, Clive and the Doctor all a bit fidgety. You can see it in all 5 episodes, especially the first episode, and well, actually all 5 episodes. And you'll notice he's always pulling out a watch. That's all I'll say there.
It was almost started off as a bit of a joke. It was a skit where we thought, oh, wouldn't it be funny if the Doctor transformed into a boy, and everybody sort of babied him and thought of him as a young boy, whereas really he's an adult inside after his regeneration. But as we got into it, and as we sort of linked it with the current Doctor Who as a prologue to the future Doctor Who's and an epilogue to part of Doctor Who's, it became more and more serious. We just really got into it and decided to make it a serious programme.
Obviously, one thing you'll notice straight away is in the opening scene, there's the Doctor / Shepherd has a dark attire. He's got this black jacket, and then suddenly after the credits we're following a Doctor that's in white clothing, as you can see behind me, and that is one of the plot points that will be in Curse of the Teenage Doctor. We will follow 2 timelines of Shepherd, and that's all I'll say. Well, technically we'll see 3. Now this is where it gets complicated, guys.
In the second series, The Curse of the Teenage Doctor, it's interesting because we filmed a lot of new scenes for it, but we're using old footage to fill in so that we can film around that, and so you get the concept of what's happening. We're doing this by using the old council footage, which was never used, and bringing it out back again to use it as flashbacks in the future.
My inspiration for Curse of the Teenage Doctor was basically a homage to Trial of the Time Lord, one of my favourite Sixth Doctor stories, and it's a show where the Doctor is put on trial and they flash back to old stories, and you see those old stories as they are, but from the point of view of the trial. And essentially with Curse of the Teenage Doctor, both white-jacketed Shepherd and black jacketed Shepherd are captured by a certain faction. That is all I'm going to say on the matter. And they are interrogated, and this is how we go back to what was originally supposed to be episodes 6 to 13 as flashback footage. So we get brown jacket moving into white jacket, and then within this show we will see the transformation of the younger Shepherd that is also captured with the older one. We'll see that transformation happen, but I'm not going to say any more because it is a massive spoiler, and obviously we don't want to go there.
The Doctor's being interrogated, of course, and he's almost out of his mind in the same way as the trial of a Time Lord. He's being questioned, he's finding out his true friends and who's behind everything.
So, Doctor, sorry, slip of the tongue. What would you like me to call you?
Call me whatever you like.
Well, I'll call you Exile.
Exile?
Sure, been exiled by your people. Doomed to be alone forever. And it's all your own fault.
You seem to know a lot about me.
Oh yes, a lot. But not as much as I'd like. So, tell me.
Tell you what?
Everything. How does it feel to be alone? Abandoned by your friends, Derek and Clive, the Doctor's mother and daughter, Michael, Nicola, Sam, and Maria.
No! Don't you mention Maria again.
Hard feeling, hey? Something painful must have happened there.
What do you want to know?
And how the interrogation scenes lead to the old footage that was never released.
What to expect from Curse of the Teenage Doctor if it ever comes out. You can expect a new enemy. You can also expect to see more of the main enemy we introduced in this short film, which you will see in an episode called Revelations. They are a certain new enemy, but also related to very, very, very old enemy of the Gallifreyans, and that's all I can say on the matter.
Oh God.
We're too late. They've already been here. I had this idea for this short film many moons before we actually shot it, because I knew in my head that so much of a long gap had happened between the last episode release of Doctor Who. I wanted to kind of make a little epilogue short film called Shepherd, and that was the working title for this before it became Before the Prime. And the idea was always to show what happens in this short film. It's the Doctor, now Shepherd, realising he's not the Doctor, and what that effect has on him, and what, you know, how is he affected by this? What is he going to do next? Is he going to go out and find answers? The title also has a double meaning. It's called Before the Prime because it also connects to Harvey's own storyline multimedia project called Doctor Who The Prime Doctor. This is why it's called Before the Prime, because this is my character's sort of prelude to entering that story, but it's also a prequel to our sequel show The Curse of the Teenage Doctor, and that is all I can really say on the matter.
I really enjoyed the hallucination scene because you could really get it was quite sad and there was a lot of feeling in it, and I felt that the acting in every part of the hallucination scenes was perfect, and it meant a lot to me to be able to put over that meaning in the story. Shepherd as a character obviously is very confused because he spent the last year or however long it is believing himself to be the real Doctor, when in fact he's a copy with the memories of the original Doctor. And when he finds out, of course it's absolutely devastating, because he's really convinced himself that he is this wonderful special superhero man, but in effect he's doing the same job, so he is that man to himself.
What?
You are not the Doctor. He's somewhere else saving the galaxy, I'm sure. Everything before your faked regeneration was all made up. You are just another Time Lord with the Doctor's memories.
No. That's not possible.
Oh, yes it is. The Doctor ended the war and in turn destroyed the Daleks. But in doing so, he ended us as well.
Obviously I couldn't have done any of this without Harvey. Harvey's like one of the pushing forces for me to make Doctor Who, and obviously he plays the Guardian of Time, one of the most crucial roles in the show. Well, shows should I say now. And yeah, he brings such a maniacal twist to the Guardian of Time and someone else that I won't say.
Guardian? I'm sorry, I thought you were somebody else.
You have failed me, Master. You were supposed to be a worthy adversary for the teenager, and you failed. I suppose now I shall have to terminate this part of the project.
And also Harvey's an executive producer of the show. He helps me, you know, steer the ship of what's going to happen with this show. If a script isn't really feeling the vibes, he will kind of go, well, maybe we could do it this way, maybe we could do it that way, and then obviously sometimes I'm just like, yeah, that sounds great, and then obviously sometimes I'm just like, no, my story, going this way. I'm sorry, I love you, buddy. Oh, Thank you! I love a room with a view. And a smell. There's somebody there. Well, I really hope you enjoyed Before the Prime. It was fun to make, it was nice to have old cast members. Obviously it's always nice to have my dad Stephen Reed in, even though he's more of a cameo in this short film. It was great to have a new companion with Nicola, played by Jade Morgan, who just is absolutely brilliant. Obviously we got Elliot back as Mike, who is one of my favourite characters. I've just got to say that straight away off the bat. I love rogue characters, so he is one of the characters. Before we'd even cast, I wanted to play that character because, you know, I'm a rogue person that, you know, I like to play rogues. And you get this jump around of why is there two new companions, you know, and that was part of the fun of making this little short film / prelude to the sequel series. And I hope you enjoyed what you saw. A kind of sneak peek into the future, and also a little epilogue to the original series. And it's... this short film can be either viewed as a farewell or a new beginning, and that was the desired effect for me making this short film. And I'm glad that it got made just in case, you know, it stops. You know, if we don't make any more, this acts as a little, you know, one story, one door shuts, another door opens. That's the best way I can say it, really. However much I wish it, I can't make it come true. I am not the Doctor. I never will be the Doctor. I need to go and find myself. Go on my own journey. Discover my own path. Mike, if I don't return, I want you to take Nicola home and find the Doctor's daughter. Take Nicola home and find Claire. Stay with her and keep her safe. But don't tell her anything. She doesn't need to know. If I'm not back within a week's time, then go. Go and don't look back. Goodbye, my friends. It was nice knowing you.
And finally, thank you to all our fans who've been involved and who've enjoyed our short stories and movies. Thank you so much for your support. It's been great, and we've enjoyed you and what your contribution is by watching us.
Thank you all so much for watching Doctor Who Curse of the Teenage Doctor Before the Prime. It is a love letter to the people that liked our original show. I mean, we started Doctor Who in 2004, so it was even before Jackass and crap shows, so it was quite literally just after Comedy Show. You know, it was like our second show and it was a big one, so it's nice to have some sort of closure to that. So I just want to thank you lot that, you know, pushed us on to make this little short film epilogue to that, you know, says goodbye but also says hello to a new story that you might see in the future. So that'll be all from me, and I hope you enjoyed.
So goodbye for now, and thank you very much again.
So I hope you enjoyed Doctor Who Curse of the Teenage Doctor Before the Prime, and I shall hopefully see you soon in the Doctor Who realm.